Throughout the years, I've spotlighted some very disturbing, vile, and haunting images, from E.T. getting anally plowed, to Sasquatch fucking a group of campers, to Amazon cannibal movies slaughtering animals, but this... I don't know. This time, I think I may have gone too far. Comedy took a huge punch to the gut with the recent passing of the great Harold Ramis, and should you be watching my Caddyshack 2 review as a way to honor the memory of Ramis? No, you shouldn't! You should be watching Ghostbusters, or Stripes, or Caddyshack, or Vacation, or Groundhog Day, and then come back and watch me talk about Caddyshack 2. Unless you're the TV Guide channel, though, and chose this as their round-the-clock movie to showcase Harold Ramis. How do I know that that happened? Because my mom took a picture of her TV screen and sent it to me. I quit watching the TV Guide channel when they changed their name from the Preview channel, thank you very much. And when the Guide button on the remote control made the TV Guide channel completely obsolete. Oh, what the fuck is this? Formatted to fit your screen? Bullshit! Either I watch Caddyshack 2 widescreen, or I'm not watching Caddyshack 2 at all. You can't chop off the sides of the screen in Caddyshack 2. That's where the jokes are hidden! Given that there's so much green in this movie, it could also count as my St. Patrick's Day episode. That, and it makes me want to drink. Honestly, I hope this isn't Caddyshack 2. I hope that any minute now Bugs and Daffy are gonna pop out to try to sell me a Warner Brothers catalog. Oh my, I hope I get eaten by a shark. Wait a minute, produced by John Peters? Well, clearly then it's not a shark, it's a giant spider. When did the gopher stop sounding like a dolphin and begin sounding like John Belushi in the cafeteria scene in Animal House? Another Harold Ramis penned movie you should be watching. The opening scene in Crystal Skull is really stupid. So far, this is nothing like the first movie. There's a charming young caddy and a group of snooty club members. Wait a minute, this is just like the first movie.
She found out that her boyfriend is part Italian. I bet I know which part, too.
The spaghetti stains on his shirt, obviously. Let's see if any of them are actually good at this sport. Funny, that's also the sound it made at the box office. Yikes, that's a sweater so white that even Bill Cosby wouldn't wear it. I'm sorry, I'm talking over all the jokes.
Outstanding.
Wow, this movie's about as funny as watching golf. This is the second movie in the 80s where Jonathan Silverman had to carry around a corpse, the other being Terry Kaiser, this time being the movie Caddyshack 2. And if I want a real special appearance by Chevy Chase, I'll stick with Paul Simon music videos, thank you very much. There's also a special appearance from Dan Aykroyd to distract you that they couldn't get Bill Murray to return. Asshole, you could just run in that big open space behind them. Risking your life for unfunny slapstick was the better option. As you can see, Harold Ramis has a co-writing credit, which Ramis may slightly disagree with. The concept of Caddyshack 2 was spearheaded by Rodney Dangerfield, who along with producer Peters, got Harold Ramis involved with the project, along with back-to-school director Alan Metter, who Rodney and Ramis also had some success with. But when Dangerfield pulled out, director Metter was then fired, yet Peters was still a champion of the project, wanting instead for Jackie Mason to play the lead. To which Ramis responded with, "Oh, don't do this." Other writers were then brought on to finish the film, and when Ramis wanted his name taken off, he was told that he shouldn't because doing that would hurt the film. Yeah, that's what would hurt the film, not the fact that it's Caddyshack 2. The only returning cast member would be Chevy Chase as Ty Webb, and Kenny Loggins returned to perform the movie's theme song, Nobody's Fool. Which is what audiences said before not going to see this movie. They called it Nobody's Fool because calling it I'm Not Alright would be a little too obvious. Silverman brings the pretty young blonde socialite a root beer that he magically got from a crush machine. Turns out she's not thirsty. This is just a little something for the gopher. Nice to see how the gopher spent his royalty money from the first film. And wait, young country club employee, sassy black friend, snooty white bread club member. This is the opening scene from the Endless Love remake, thus making the Endless Love remake a better adaptation of Caddyshack 2 than Endless Love. And here's our star, Jackie Mason, as Jack Hartoonian. The same last name as the character that Jackie Mason played in The Jerk. It's even stealing character names from better comedies. Exactly like Rodney in the first film, Mason is a fast-talking land tycoon. Seriously, they did nothing to make this a different character, except to change his name and probably let Mason ad-lib a little.
You want to play or you want to fold? Either you're going to play or you're going to fold. Because if you're not going to play and you're not going to fold, then you're going to sit. And between me and you, there's more comfortable places than this for a place to sit.
Ugh, excuse me, do you mind? We're trying to build a skyscraper here. We don't have time to listen to your stand-up material.
How do you like that? You wiped me out again? What are you doing gambling on a job site anyway?
I should fire every one of you son of a bitches. That's what I should do.
You're the one playing cards with them on the clock. I see Marcia Warfield is in the film after taking over for bailiff Florence Kleiner. You can tell he's rich because he looks like Willy Wonka was cast as the Joker. A local historical society, made up of 2 people, I guess, is protesting Jack's new land development.
This building is over 70 years old. It's part of our heritage.
Your mouth is saying one thing, but the man's pipe says white people problems. But nothing a day at the country club can't solve.
You deserve to belong to the best country club.
The best. This is the best. They're a bunch of snobs, that's all they are.
Oh yeah? Then why the fuck am I not a member of this establishment? I'm far easier to understand than Jack Hartoonian.
This and this junior, this and this the first, so for the second, the third, the fifth, the sixth. Look how brilliant they are. They can't even think of a new name for a kid.
We got roots like an oak tree. We got roots. We got roots like a radish.
What the fuck are you saying? I'm sorry, I don't speak shtick. And it even continues when he gets out of the car.
Daddy, I'd like you to meet my friend Miffy.
Miffy? Miffy, that's a cute name. I knew a girl in school once. We called her Muffy.
Like a vagina.
Probably for different reasons.
Yes, thank you. I get it. It's a pussy joke. Shit, he's forgot to put on his Krusty the Clown makeup.
Are you expected?
Actually, no. They wanted Rodney Dangerfield, but they got me instead. Here we get our first special appearance by Chevy Chase.
Oh, I see you working hard as usual.
Yes, so much so, he's obviously wearing his own clothes that he brought from home. In the first one, he actually dressed the part of a suave, witty, rich man. In this, he's dressed like he's killing time before making an appearance on Letterman, which, by the way, showed just how excited he was about appearing in Caddyshack 2 when he said to Letterman in an interview, "Yeah, I think I'm in that. I don't know. They're gonna have to pay me a lot of money for that." So weird he'd have that attitude. You couldn't tell from the trailer.
Caddyshack 2. Is there any money in it for me?
Even the advertising is on not give a fuck mode. Yet somehow he's still easily the funniest one in the movie. Something about his real life not give a fuck attitude works here, largely because he's playing a character who also does not give a fuck.
I wouldn't know. I was born with a wooden spoon in my mouth.
Must have been hard on your mother. 7 of diamonds. Keep that queen of spades. Good card. Have a seat, Jack.
This is what the world would have looked like if the Germans had won.
Well, lucky for us, the Japanese won.
I genuinely laughed at that. Now I know why these scenes are so special. They're the only funny lines in the movie. Oftentimes I wonder if these are the only scenes that were salvaged from Harold Ramis's original script. Admittedly, maybe I'm just a really big fan of Chase's really dry, straight man delivery.
Jack, cartooning, I'd like you to meet some of the oldest and most respected members of the club. Mr. Foreskin. Forrester. And Mr. Krabs. And Mr. Wrinkle.
That's Winkler.
Winkler. And Mr. Or is it Mrs.?
But since Jackie is the star of this thing, let's give him some lines.
What is your background?
My background? Oh, my father was Armenian. My mother was half Jewish, half English, half Spanish.
That's 3 halves.
Oh, she was a big woman.
Oh, well, that settles that. Clearly you're French.
Well, I got a thing.
Sorry, I gotta go appear in Fletch Lives. Comparatively speaking, a better sequel than this. Technically, I guess. Jack hits the course and, oh no, he spots the lady that he tried murdering earlier with a steamroller.
What steamroller? Bulldozer. It's a bulldozer.
Gee, I'm so sorry. My mistake. Hey, remember how funny that scope putter was in the first movie? Let's do that, but bigger.
Now. Interesting club. What would you call it?
Cheating. It's called cheating. And what the fuck is that? Finally, something to get people out of Studio 54 and onto a golf course.
Anything could happen. You know, sometimes the signal interferes with a pacemaker.
That guy in the background is dead. The bit in the first movie was one joke with a crazy golf club that you could see a guy who has too much money to spend actually owning. This movie is going into straight-up science fiction.
Bingo!
I could buy a gopher with the intelligence of Albert Einstein, but this is asking a lot of me. And the na-na-na-na-na-na gags from the first movie seemed like a good luck charm of a rich man who considered himself in touch with the universe. In this movie, he's a straight-up magician. Randy Quaid comes in as Jack's lawyer, who's there to deal with the Bushwood elite who don't want Jack to build low-income housing around their country club.
If your client doesn't voluntarily cease and desist, we'll be forced to go through the long and very costly process of injunctions, lawsuits, motions, counter-motions, hearings.
Sorry, are we talking about a land deal or Harold Ramis wanting his name off of the credits?
You'll wish you'd never heard of the Historical Preservation Society.
Thanks, Guy Pearce from LA Confidential. Here's the thing. I know these are supposed to be the villains, and I'm not trying to sound mean or insensitive, but from their point of view, why would they want Jack building cheap housing around their country club? Thank God the lawyer is here to provide a well-balanced counter-argument.
And I beat down your door with a fucking baseball bat!
Ugh, really?
And then I'm coming upstairs, Junior, and I'm gonna grab you by your Brooks Brothers PJs, and then I'm gonna take your brand new BMW and cram it up your tight ass!
So this is the guy I'm supposed to be rooting for. The guy who is assaulting people. But whatever, they're rich, that means they're evil. And as if it couldn't get any weirder.
Elizabeth, where's the brake?
Next to the clutch.
Slow down, easy, dog. Easy. Bitch.
What the fuck is with that horse? John Candy and Hot to Trot sounded more like a real horse. And it also had less fart jokes.
Your horse has quite a gas problem.
It's not the horse.
Then clearly you have a problem because you just shit your pants.
A little higher next time. Higher.
What the hell? The flying space horse from Winter's Tale is more believable. I'm sorry, did the horse just laugh? This is a really strange, shitty movie that seems to be surrounded by another shitty movie in which the animals can talk. Yet this horse racing scene still isn't quite as cartoonish as a similar scene from View to a Kill. And in case you missed it, fart jokes. You cannot convince me that the scene originally went like this. Someone, probably John Peters, was obviously scared that this scene didn't go over well in test screenings, so they thought the only way to fix it would be to put random fart jokes throughout it. Hey, Rodney had a funny fart joke in the first movie. Let's put 12 of them in our sequel within 5 minutes of each other. Good lord, he looks like if the Disco Godfather was the DJ at a hootenanny. Oh, and, fart.
Listen, I don't know why you're so impressed with these Fanzanoons anyway.
What's a Fanzanoon?
A Fanzanoon is a guy who farts in the bathtub and bites the bubbles.
That's Yiddish for nothing. What are you going on about again?
You think your head floating around in a toilet bowl might be poisonous?
Jack, have a pig in a blanket. I love your jacket, Jack. Doesn't he look nice? Todd, so nice to see you. Kate is always a pleasure to see you.
Oh, thank God. Diane Cannon, the true hero of the movie. The gopher shows up again to remind you that Bill Murray was probably paid more for the movie than the actual actors in the film. No joke, Murray settled out of court in a lawsuit against the film for using the gopher that was part Murray's creation. Well, that'll happen when you invite Frank Welker to your party. You just gotta expect these things. They try repeating a lot of the dinner gags from the first one, but whereas Dangerfield scored a lot of laughs, Mason just comes across as annoying. Somehow watching Jackie Mason dance with Diane Cannon is a lot grosser than watching Jackie Mason have sex with Diane Cannon. Jack's daughter has a slight thing going on with the snooty rich kid, even though clearly she'll end up with the good-hearted, catty Jonathan Silverman. This feels like Josh Radnor flashing back to how he met a girl he banged at a golf course before he met our mother.
Kate, would you like to go back inside?
Actually, I think I might just go home from here.
Well, it didn't take her very long to figure out that that guy's an asshole. Thank you, movie, for getting her together with the nice guy fairly quickly.
Great idea. I'll drop you. On the way, we can stop by Bunny Schuyler's. I think she's having a little after party. Do you want to?
Okay.
Oh, what? Maybe something better is going on inside.
It's time for our little slave auction. Break out your checkbooks and think Mandingo.
It's a little game we like to play called 12 Minutes a Slave. But there's some bad news for Jack.
My wife and I spoke to several of our members. We all feel that after tonight, it might be better if you didn't visit the club for a while.
Walter Paisley.
What do you mean for a while?
What we're trying to say is that you're incredibly obnoxious, and we'd like you to leave because that means the movie would be over.
Messy apartment business, the attempt on Cynthia's life.
These are all valid reasons why he shouldn't be a member. Why am I supposed to root for him? Oh, because it's funny that he bought up all the club members to be his slave for a day.
Who has so graciously purchased all of our society slaves tonight for a grand total of $11,950.
Oh man, I'll bet this game is really going to offend the black members of this country club. Look at this. It's funny because they're not really construction workers, and them being on this site will probably get someone injured or killed in an accident, and that house will probably fall apart instantly once it's finished. Oh, Jack Hartoonian, how did you get so rich? Really, how did you get so rich?
All right, Hartoonian, you've had your fun. What are you trying to prove with this?
I'm trying to prove how hilarious Robert Stack looks with that thing on his head. Uh-oh, did someone say zany? Thanks, movie! I should be watching The Money Pit right now. Naturally, this displeases Stack and the other members of the club.
PP, why don't you contact the police, fire, and utilities? PM, why don't you go to work on his suppliers and subcontractors?
I'm inclined to agree with Robert Stack again. Jack Hartoonian being in charge of anything seems like a terrible idea.
We got no cement, no lumber, no steel, no nothing. And the building inspector just pulled all our permits.
Good! You've probably gotten several people killed. By the way, is Randy Quaid still dressed as the terrifying father from Parents? Again, a much better movie. So Jack returns to the only funny character in the thing to buy up bushwood to stick it to the man.
You want to buy bushwood from me? That's right, that's right. Well, let me ask you this. Do I own it?
The only depressing thing about this scene is that I know it'll be over soon, and then, once again, Ty Webb will be out of the movie. No joke, his scenes actually do work.
Mom and Dad, well, they're gone now.
They passed away?
No, Palm Beach. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I think they are dead.
Again, I laughed at that. Maybe if Jack would shut up, the scene would work even better.
The rest of it is just walking around the park wearing funny pants.
Do you think it's safe to hit a bull in a place like this?
You are the last person who needs to be talking about safety. Come on, Chevy Chase, let us stay with you. Whatever movie that you're in, the story about a rich guy with too much time on his hands so he plays indoor golf, is a much better movie than the one Jack Hartoonian is in. But to give credit, Randy Quaid has his first funny part in the movie.
Wake up!
To be fair, I don't know if that was genuinely funny, or if I'm still on a high because the Ty Webb scene was actually funny. So Jack buys up bushwood, and then it's speech time.
Chandler, let me tell you something. There's going to be a lot of new faces in this club. I'm going to see to them. I'm going to open up this whole Bushwood Country Club to the general public.
Or, here's an idea, why don't you buy your own fucking country club? That way you could do your own thing with it instead of taking over this one. But maybe it'll turn out okay. What the fuck is that thing? Jackie's Wacky Golf Course? Take that, the man. Oh. And why does every golf swing sound like a missile launch? Did they think the audience would be so stupid that they wouldn't know that they were playing golf unless those silly sounds were added? Let's give it up for the country club members for actually returning to this club.
I'm doing you a favor. If you lay around here long enough, your face is going to look like an alligator bag. You're going to be wearing luggage tags for earrings.
Okay, these insults worked in the first movie when Ted Knight's wife was seriously a bitch, but this is just a woman who didn't want her club to turn into a community pool center. Oh hey, it's the caddy, making only his third appearance in the film, meaning that this movie is not about caddies, or a shack, or a Caddyshack, nor does it actually feature a Caddyshack. But it does have a water slide, which Silverman uses to get back at the asshole rich kid.
Hey, Vivi, watch this.
Ooh, how impressive. Going down a water slide.
Oh, hot, 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 hot. Oh, boy, that's hot.
What is it about this actor? This is the second time in the 80s that he's had extreme heat applied to either his ass or his genitals. And by the way, that is hardly the most painful water slide in existence. Wait, what? There's ice on the course?
Come on, shoot!
Come on! Come on, shoot!
No! Fuck off! Seriously, bring up assault charges on this asshole. Man, I wish Bill Murray were in this movie.
Chandler Young?
Man, I wish Bill Murray were in this movie.
Captain Tom Everett, United States Marine Corps, Item 5-8, Company A, retired.
What the fuck voice is that? Hey, remember when Carl Spackler used a silly voice, yet completely made it his own and seemed realistic to that character? Let's replace him with Dan Aykroyd doing a silly voice, which just sounds like Dan Aykroyd doing a silly voice.
All right, then give me a cheese sandwich.
Don't have it.
Tuna on whole wheat.
Don't have it.
Well, I would ask for laughs, but I know you don't have that on the menu. So, we now have all of our equivalents. The Ted Knight equivalent, the Bill Murray equivalent, the Danny Noonan equivalent, the Patrick Bateman equivalent. Of course, this can't just be a regular date scene with funny lines like in the first film. No, we need him to get locked in his room for no reason and then fall out of his window.
What are you doing out there?
I just wanted to see what it would feel like to come home to you every night.
Not a bad save, actually. But the date is ruined when Jack's daughter wants to move out.
You don't care about me. If you did, you wouldn't have done what you did to Bushwood.
Sit to Bushwood? I made it into a fun place.
No. You took a beautiful country club and turned it into Coney Island.
Thank you! Oh my god! Finally, a character speaking so much sense that it actually feels like she's going off script.
To be one of them. Go ahead. Go ahead. You got no family anymore. You're not one of them.
Boy, you said it, guy who is only against exclusion when it best suits his interests. Jack goes out to have a drink with Ty, conveniently dressed like he is at the beginning of the film, probably because they were filmed on the same day and Chevy didn't bring an extra jacket with him. Whatever. I could watch Chevy Chase hit on rich girls all day.
Well, we're finally alone.
I know.
Have you ever seen a crisp $50 bill?
You know, even though that line didn't work for him, I am so using that next time I try a pickup line. Uh-oh, more bad news for Jack?
Quite frankly, it'd be a miracle if you ever got another building permit in this city.
Again! Good! I think we all know where this is going. Seriously, this scene is repeating the same gags from the original.
You want to settle this? Do it like gentlemen on the golf course. 18 holes partners.
Someone just saw Caddyshack. But meanwhile, in the assassination subplot... Still not a bigger asshole than Jack Artunian. But if he's gonna win this challenge, he's first gotta get good at the game.
All right, you want to spread your legs a little bit? You want me to leave you two guys alone for a bit?
That's not funny.
Said every actor involved with this film. It's a little hard to pay attention to the golf game when there's someone's vagina in the background, and when this happens.
Anytime.
Not actually fucking possible! Just like all the other sound effects in this movie.
You're picking your head up before you even hit the thing. You gotta keep it down. Yeah, down. And I noticed you're bending your left elbow on your backswing.
I'm glad they put those sound effects in, otherwise this scene would have sucked! But why have Ty Webb here if you can't repeat the Be the Ball shtick from the first movie? None of you are being the ball. You're all making asses of yourselves. Hopefully they at least end the scene with a good joke.
You're not being the ball. Be the ball.
Do me a favor. Why don't you be the ball? If I wanted to be a piece of sports equipment, I'd be a lady's bicycle seat.
What the hell? Well, whatever this contraption is still serving a bigger purpose to the movie than the caddy, who has no lines in this scene, in a movie called Caddyshack 2. Yes, Danny Noonan was often overshadowed by the performances of Rodney Dangerfield, Chevy Chase, Ted Knight, and Bill Murray in the first, but Danny Noonan was still a likable three-dimensional character with the biggest story arc in that film. This guy, I can't even remember the character's name, and in the first one, the character's name was one of the many quotable lines from it. Seriously, Missile Ball is a bigger character in this film than the caddy.
Keep your eye on the fruit.
Oh, what do you know? It's the only part in the movie where the ball actually acted like a missile. Maybe that's why those sound effects were put in. It was just foreshadowing. Oh. No. It was just stupid. We're at the final tournament, a scene so intense they couldn't get Chevy to stick around for it.
Wish I could stay, but I got a thing. Bye.
Even his blatant wanting no part of this movie is still one of the funniest things about it. You gotta love any movie where you're rooting for the villain.
These clubs are terrible.
Right? There were 0 missile sounds for that one. Here, this is how it's done. Well, that'll happen when your game is primarily played in post-production. Meanwhile, Aykroyd watches Old Ladies because it was funny when Bill Murray did it. And then he switches his attention to the gopher because we've got 20 minutes of this movie left and they finally need to give the gopher something else to do other than look like he wants as much to do with this film as Chevy Chase does. Whatever, I just don't give a fuck either.
You have the worst slice in the history of golf. Might as well go with it.
I'm sorry, how does that work? You suck, so you should keep sucking. That way, you'll win. Was that the behind-the-scenes logic of this movie, too? This movie sucks, so let's make sure it keeps sucking. That way, it'll be funny. Ass crack! Jesus Christ, all he wanted was some fucking Twinkies. At least Carl Spackler was being paid to take out the gopher, since he was the greenskeeper. What the fuck is this guy's problem? And what's with the popcorn? And as if this movie couldn't get any unfunnier, it's got Tweety Bird in it. God damn it! Every joke just feels like padding in this comedy.
You.
What was the fucking point of that? And then it starts mentioning plot points that never even existed until now.
I've decided that you must join my sorority. And I know that the Kappas are just going to love you.
Was that a thing? I don't remember that being a thing.
Would you consider changing your name?
What is wrong with my real name?
Nothing. It's just that it sounds so...
So what?
I believe the word you're looking for is Swedish. I don't like this. Last time Looney Tunes and a golf course were mixed, we got Space Jam, a movie that Bill Murray said yes to, but not this one. Ugh, go away!
Have you ever tried putting with a wedgie?
A wedgie?
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great. All the pros are doing it.
Uh-oh, I bet I know where this is going.
This is a wedgie!
Yep, the old purple nurple. Ah, fuck! Yes, the no thing wins the game, but instead of it being a tool for simple geometry, it's... pure fucking witchcraft! Hey, wait, nothing exploded like in the first one. Well, we gotta fix that.
Tap it. A tiny...
No. So that means the country club stays being a shithole. Yay? And that's the end of...
Might I trouble you for a scalpel?
Never mind.
If I pull the arrow out, will you please suck out the poison for me?
It's funny because that means his lips will be pressed against his ass.
Is there any money in it for me?
Even in context of the film, that line still sums up this movie's entire reason of being. And how is it that the best chemistry in the movie isn't between the caddy and Jack's daughter, or Jack and Diane Cannon, but between the oddly overweight gopher and a dog? Don't worry, folks. Dan Aykroyd and a shitty sequel will return in Blues Brothers 2000. Can I go back to watching shitty pornos now? Caddyshack 2 is one of the abusive mothers of bad sequels. And it's directed by Alan Arkush, who 7 years earlier brought us Heartbeeps. You son of a bitch! I stuck up for Heartbeeps, goddammit! I was the only one who stuck up for Heartbeeps, and this is how you repay me? And to anyone who complained about Caddyshack being more of a series of sketches rather than a real linear film, here's the thing. Caddyshack 2 isn't a series of sketches. It does have a linear plot, more or less focused on just one character. And while Caddyshack is considered a classic, Caddyshack 2 is the worst thing to happen to golf since Atari Golf. Plot or no plot, sometimes what's funny is just funny. And sometimes what's not funny is Caddyshack 2. But it's, Still better than Caddyshack 3, I guess. I mean, seriously. Not even this movie's that bad.
Boy, this is a tough room.